Hello, everybody. This is Better Than Cross Server from TORCommunity, and this is our PvP podcast. This is our first episode. Hooray!
Yay.
And we record on alternating weeks with Kevis Cast. A quick public service announcement before we get too deep, which we love to get deep in this podcast, is this pot expect PvP raging, elitism, and a copious amount of swearing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to one of our hosts and the resident queen of fuck, Zam. How are you doing, Zam?
I am doing all right. I've been up since 5 a.m., so I'm surprisingly awake at the moment.
You're hardcore, aren't you?
I know, right? And all for a fancy trailer.
I was gonna wake up to watch the Halo trailer, but it was like 9 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't be fucked to do that, so.
Yeah. At least the Battlefront gameplay was awesome.
It was definitely awesome. Snave, it's the opposite for you, right? It's really late there.
Yeah, yes, it's 11:45 here. But I'm a big boy, so I'm staying up late tonight. That's right, I'm going past my bedtime.
Being an
Fuck
adult.
the police. What are you going to do about it? I'm a grown-ass man. Yeah, I'm all right. I've been a bit ill, but I've taken copious amounts of like cough syrup and throat spray and painkillers, so I'm kind of delirious, but I'm feeling better.
I think delirious Snave could be good. You're less
Could be
inhibited.
good, yeah. Yeah, well, I don't think that's usually an issue, is it?
Yeah,
But I was excited about all the stuff today, and I still don't really know how to feel about it. I feel I'm confused. It's a bit like when you see a really, really good-looking boy, and you're like, oh, God, he's so handsome, but you don't really know how to feel about it anymore, you know?
Yeah, not really, but I get where you're coming from. Lastly, because I didn't introduce him in the last podcast, and he has not let me forget it for the last week, and now he has an angry face. We have the resident spoiler of secrets, and you are what's the WikiLeaks guy? That's you. You were that.
I am not Julian Assange.
I'm
Julian
pretty sure
Assange.
Julian
That's
Assange
daily
is
PvP.
so-
What's wrong
Okay,
with you?
look. If you're gonna compare me to someone, compare me to Edward Snowden. Okay.
Okay.
Julian Assange
Alright.
is a dick.
Okay, you can be Edward Snowden then.
Okay.
You did.
Let's just-
You were responsible for quite the leak this week, weren't you?
Whoever takes care of the Swoter.com server assets is responsible for the leak because that should have never happened.
And
But
so,
yes.
and it wasn't a dev leak. Why don't we kind of talk about that? Why don't you kind of say? Well, all right, we'll do the contact info first, and then we'll get into miners mining.
Can I just say that there are the two girls here on stream, but I can't take my eyes off of Snape's beard. I don't know. It's just a random thought for the day.
It's understandable. It's like 2 weeks to deal with trimming. It's like really, really bushy at the moment. So
Yes, it's
I
very
need to trim
manly.
the stuff down.
That's not a bad
Yes.
thing. Bushy beard is.
Yes.
I feel like I should go and cut down some trees or something.
That's what
Why
I'm
you
saying.
glad
Get yourself some nice overalls and an axe.
I'm gonna get like a plaid shirt and I go to May's house. I'm gonna boot her door down and say, May, I've traveled 2,000 miles to give you my seed, like Step Brothers style.
Don't you really want to chainsaw after that Doom gameplay yesterday?
Oh my God.
Oh
that-
my
Oh my
god!
God.
It was like when he just like ripped off his leg and beat him with it. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I
wait.
missed that video.
Oh, well, you will have to watch it. It's pretty epic. You can find us, this podcast, and all of us on TORCommunity at TORCommunity.com. Subscribe on iTunes, which will get put up later this week when we get all that sorted out because we had technical difficulties last week. You can find us on Twitter at TORCommunity, the Old Republic Community on Facebook. Make sure to like us there. We post things there also. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, or suggestions, you can email Hayward at torcommunity.com. So going into this week, this is really the E3 week, right? Everyone's this day, the 15th, has been the thing that they've kind of talked about for weeks now. And Miner, you did spoil that early. So how exactly did that all happen?
Well, I put on my 12-year-old glasses and I said, okay, if 12-year-old me wanted to find the info about this game, what would I do? Just type the game, go to the server site, and type in the game name and see if they left any info there, and that worked. So my 12-year-old self could hack their site.
The thing I found quite amusing was, even though you were announced it like as I was streaming and how it happened, people were then saying, well, it was an intentional leak. It was done on purpose to kind of generate more hype.
A lot of
yeah.
people have said that it was an intentional dev leak.
Yeah, so here's a little bit of a plot twist, right? You don't leak the full details of your big all singing, all dancing presentation 2 days before the all singing, all dancing presentation. If you want to leak a little bit, like a week before, or maybe a little bit 2 weeks before, fine. You don't leak the full thing 2 days prior. That does not make good sense.
Yeah, people have accused me of working for BioWare. That is not the case. While they have not sent their legal team after me yet, I would not, I would not assume that they won't at some point, especially if I keep up those kind of antics. But they made it so easy.
Is there anything against that, though? I mean, you literally just typed in a URL that was open. I mean, how is that suable?
Hey, if you clear your browser history, apparently you can get charged with contempt of court.
Really?
So yeah, some guy. It's a long story.
Stay on target.
Yeah, stay on target.
The things that we when you initially did this, the kind of things that everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are they talking about? The new information that we really got was that there's going to be a third faction, and that it was this Outlander faction, and nobody really knew what that was going to be. That the expansion is set to release on October 27th, and that it'll be free for all subscribers. We found out that you will get start at level 60, so everyone gets a level 60 character. Again, that emphasis on story that they've really talked about a lot. If you want to
create a level 60, you can.
You can. Lots of personal story stuff. What else do we find out here? That you will have the option to get Nico Okar as a companion. His blaster
if you're
set.
Subscribed.
If you're right, these are the subscriber rewards. Yeah, this is what.
And these are like the early subscriber rewards. It's not like you get the companion if you subscribe during the thing. You have to be a subscriber by July 17th to get Nico Okar as a companion.
Right, and every award happens at the last day of the month, so it really seems to be like a way to make sure that even though there's nothing new happening, this is how they want you to stay subscribed to SWTOR for the next 4 months.
Yeah, but I mean. It's still stuff. Do you know what I mean? They're still giving you stuff, so I find it hard to be too salty about it. Let's be honest, we're going to be subbed anyway, so I mean, it's a reward. I think they're going to be shifting, by the looks of it, to giving you more stuff other than just cartel coins.
Right.
This is a very good move on their part. Even if it's something crappy, giving people something for subscribing is a good plan. Something other than cartel coins. Like, okay, you want to give cartel coins every once in a while? No, that's fine. But give specific rewards that are unique. You want to put
the cartel coin reward is always good, though, because it's like the universal currency. Yes. So, if you don't like the reward that you get, and you can buy something else with it. So I hope that stays. It's just, it's a nice thing to have, just to have a nice decoration or anything at all every single month,
Yeah.
They also unveiled the cast of characters for this new expansion. There is Arkin, Valkorion, Lana Benico, Valen, Koth Vortenna, Senya, and HK55. And we saw all of this before, the trailer today, so there's a lot of speculation of what this is. There's little character blurbs on everybody. They listed all the different chapters of this expansion, and this says there's 16 of them. And the other thing that they did is there was a bunch of images that were broken. But
yeah, the other day I'm switched over to the images on stream.
Okay.
They'll rotate through.
So the images are up now, and everybody was kind of excited when that happened because we got a teaser on what we might be seeing. So like Bothwy was one of the names of it, Lana Benico concept, Skyscraper City, Zakul Knights, a lot of these things that we were kind of heard rumors about, we kind of got a teaser of. And then today came, and that was really exciting. Did anyone expect them to talk about SWTOR for longer or less? I know, Snave, you were kind of pretty set on them not talking for a long time.
They didn't really say anything. I understand it was just like an announcement trailer and an announcement of what's happening, and the game's already established, so maybe they had less screen time. But when considering they had quite a long segment on things like Plant versus Zombies, and there was a really long one on FIFA. I understand FIFA probably generates them a lot more money, which is why they're doing it. But I just thought there would have been more to get people excited about it because, I mean, for me, it looks like they go on the KOTOR 3 route, which is what everyone has always wanted, or a lot of people have always wanted. So I kind of expect them to kind of hint at that a bit more or push it a bit more than they did. Um, the other guys, the guys who presenting before, who was it? Is it Hickman who did it for SWOTO?
You mean for the E3
Yeah.
specific? Yeah.
He was on the
Hickman.
IGN stream. It was Jeff Hickman and
Yeah,
No,
the guy
but
who did
Bruce
the
McLean
on,
there.
on the E3
No,
stage,
on the E3
it
one.
was Jeff.
Yeah,
Oh.
I found he was
Sure.
a little less
I don't-
charismatic than the other
maybe.
ones, you know. So
Mm.
I found the whole thing a little bit underwhelming, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If I didn't play Star Wars, I wouldn't have thought, "Ooh, that looks pretty cool." And I do play Star Wars, and I didn't think, "Ooh, that looks pretty cool," you know. So
They should have played
I
the full
didn't think it was that
trailer.
great.
Why didn't they play it? It was only a minute
Yeah,
and a half
I know.
more. And it was more
Yeah.
compelling than their little clip.
I'm guessing they were pushed for time, and
Mm.
they said you got this much time, and they thought that they're gonna. I don't know, man. I just think they could have done it a little bit better. But I'm hypercritical on these things, so I wouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah.
Right, and for me, it felt like it was a little bit of a scavenger hunt of information today. There was like, we knew it was supposed to be on IGN.com, but it was also on EA Twitch, and then things were starting at different times. I actually missed the beginning of the longer trailer on IGN because it started.
I
It
did
didn't
as
start
well.
at 2, and then so we were looking everywhere else for stuff, and we couldn't find it. And
I think a lot of that is because we wanted it now, and we didn't want to wait 5 minutes for the link. You know, all that stuff
True.
was readily available within like 30 minutes of it being broadcast. So I think that was more just us frantically trying to get it as soon as we possibly could. So
Wouldn't have
I wouldn't.
been better if like SWOTOR itself would have, kind of streamed it with the IGN.
I don't get
Or
why it was
hosted it
IGN
somewhere.
exclusive. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
wanted it on IGN.
IGN's
That's
bigger
fine.
than SWOTOR.
Yeah. But it was on their site pretty quickly after the IGN reveal. So
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we think of the trailer? Let's just start with Zam. What did you think about it?
we could
I
show
like.
it.
Yeah, you can
You should
show it.
show it as we're talking, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Well done. It was very pretty. And the story's going to be interesting. I really liked the twist at the end where one of the brothers killed the other one. I thought that was great. I was like, yes!
Yeah, man. What a plot twist that was, because that's never happened in any form of
Yeah, I
literature,
know.
story, or anything ever. Brothers
Yeah,
fighting?
but then
What?
Yeah, but it's
Turn
just
the
way
volume
it
down, try to
happened.
get it really low.
Yeah, and then the father actually finally said something to them. So I was like, oh, that's what he wanted all, and he wanted one of them. He was trying to figure out which one was stronger, and then yeah, there we have it.
Playing it
Now we
against.
don't know what's going to happen.
I know, Snave, you're a really big Blur fanboy. Yesterday on your stream, you did like every Blur cinematic
saw
ever.
that.
So as far as Blur cinematics go, how did you feel about this one?
It's okay. I mean, I'm a big fan of trailers. I love trailers. I often prefer trailers to films. I think there's a certain art and science into making trailers good and convey a message and yet get you entertained in something. And I've always thought that Blur were fantastic at doing that. Like the original cinematics for this game are easily, in my opinion, the best video game cinematics ever done. I always watch the Blur highlight reel. I have been known to get a bit teary watching it because it's so fucking good. This one I thought the story was really, really cliched, and I thought there wasn't enough death by Star Wars based death in it. To be honest with you, it's like two brothers go out because they got a commanding dad who wants them to go and take over the world and claim their heritage. Yeah, all right. I mean that's super original, isn't it? Great storytelling. And then one of them, the big plot twist is the guy in the white turns to the dark side, not the guy in the dark. I'm like, oh my god, huge plot twist there. And then at the end, he tries to kill him and he kills his brother. I mean, the whole thing is like, I mean, it's almost a parody of any kind of upbringing of two siblings in a powerful situation. But the actual cinematics itself looks really good. I liked Darth Talon. I know it's not Darth Talon. I'm calling her Darth Talon because she looks like Darth Talon. I hope she's not dead and she gets back and she's back in it again because she seemed pretty cool. But yeah, visually it was good. I would have liked more action, and I would have liked a slightly more original story than Cain and Abel. But other than that, it was cool.
I agreed with you earlier when you kind of were like, you wish that you hadn't have seen the teaser trailer. I wish that I
Yeah.
hadn't seen that before I saw like the full length one because it ruined like the mystery and wonder of it, kind of like having half the story.
I think what it boils down to for me, right?
Yeah.
There was no fight in it. There's no good fight in it. Look at all the other trailers. They all have their little moments where there's like a sequence, a fight sequence, which is like, oh my god, that's so good. I mean, look at Deceived. It's so good. And the Hope trailer, they're all so good, and they all have these slightly extended fight sequences. Only make a minute long or so, but it really gets the blood pumping, and you think, oh my god, I'm gonna get to do that in a video game. What does this trailer leave me with? I'm gonna get to stab my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what?
Yeah, there
is that?
should have been a longer fight there.
I'm gonna steal some flags and lightsabers and show them to my dad. Like, what am I looking to get from this? I don't feel particularly attached to any of the characters because they are like a walking cliche,
Right.
and there's no cool fight scenes for me to think, oh, this is amazing. And the other thing I find slightly worrying is, seeing as they kind of homogenizing all the story into one thing now, what iconic moves are operatives gonna get? Because I'm all selfish.
Oh
What
my
are we gonna
god.
get?
Did you see the orbital strike in Battlefront? That was like the coolest thing ever, and it made me so
No.
sad for operatives in game.
That wasn't no orbital hug, was it? No.
No, that was an orbital strike. It was legit.
But it just, I think it's good. It's visually very good. It's very pretty, and I don't think I'd ever say a bad word about Blur, to be honest with you. It's just I think it could have been. It's not a good starting point to the story for me to have this huge, cliched premise built around me seeing, I don't know, like 20 years of these kids' childhoods compressed into a 4-minute cinematic. That's
The
all.
montage.
We need a montage. Yeah.
Gosh. So I mean, everyone's rank is it? I kind of personally thought it was not as good as the first 3 trailers.
Not even close.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not as good. No.
I'd rank it below them, but yeah.
In practical
I'm not
terms,
gonna
right,
qualify.
if they just played the Deceived trailer and then said Knights of the Fallen Empire, I actually would have been more excited. And it's just because that trailer always gets me excited.
It does. That is a great
I understand they can't
Oh,
do that, but
yeah.
it just gets me fired up every time,
Right. So let's kind of break down what's going on in the trailer versus what we know. One of the things that I kind of want to talk about is the saber. So since kind of there's this image that went around of, the cloth, like the Empire cloth and the Republic cloth, and there's like lightsabers on them. And then there was also an interview that Bruce McLean and Jeff Hickman did after the trailer release with IGN, and they spoilered it for everyone.
Bruce McLean is the fucking man. He gives zero
yeah.
fucks about you spoilers, doesn't he? He was courteous enough to say, "Oh, can I do a spoiler?" and then instantly spoil it before anyone could have closed it down. It was I love
That
that
was
man.
fantastic.
We all did
Yeah.
scream yes in TeamSpeak though as we were listening.
He's like the honey badger of the story, isn't he?
Yeah. So the first thing is that there's all these lightsabers and everyone's been like, oh, whose lightsaber is it? And so they killed all the people for this. It's like the whole premise for this is that your character, has been frozen in carbonite for a number.
Spoiler alert.
What? Yeah, oh, whatever. PSA. I'll put that in the PSA earlier too. Yeah. So you're in carbonite. You come out, and everything that you know the Republic and the Empire is gone. And there are now these outlanders of the immortal empire. Is that what it is? Is that what they called it? I think that's what they called it. And sorry, no. The eternal throne. That's that throne that we've seen is the eternal throne. It's a new faction. He has sent out his sons out to conquer the SWTOR icons that we know from in-game. The brothers are Arkin and Valen, and they are the sons of Valkorion, who are people in that, blurby teaser webpage that we got. You are the galaxy's last hope. You have to find your companions, old and new. Adventures, emphasis on personal story, and your choices will be consequential. And you need to challenge the might of the eternal throne.
Ooh.
Does anyone else think it's weird that they're just putting you in carbonite? Like, how can they put everybody in carbonite?
It's stupid. It's like, why would you put
I
us in-
find it.
Why?
Sorry, I find it weird how there's all these hidden empires just like just lying around.
Yeah. And
These
where
these
the
empires are
fuck
super
is
good at
How
hiding.
many
Shit.
immortal emperors do we need?
Sorry, eternal. It's eternal, not immortal.
Sorry.
Oh.
No, he's described
Name
as the immortal
difference.
empire too.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So why is it then? What is the fallen empire? Is it like the empire is the fallen empire? And
No, it's this other. It's the Eternal Throne
Outlander?
people.
Are you
No.
sure?
From what I understand, the Sith and the Sith Empire and the Republic are pretty much beaten to the point where they're not recognizable as anything really. And so you're not necessarily working for this new group that came in and beat them. You're working to try to salvage something out of the two that are left.
And what did they say the time span is that you've been frozen in carbonite?
They didn't say.
Oh.
They haven't said.
But
Okay.
your companions, it's enough time. I'd say no
20
less
years.
than 10 years.
Oh.
10, 20
10
years.
years.
No,
Okay.
it wouldn't be that long. But yeah, less than 10 years.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd say less than 10 years, yeah.
Because
Or-
you've got all your
potentially
companions
more.
still alive.
The thing is,
Yeah.
right? Is there any point in
Yeah.
even fighting this hidden empire? Because I'm pretty sure there'll be another hidden empire coming out in a couple of months, so we'll probably want to fight this hidden empire, and then we can just have like the hidden empire take care of each other.
Yeah. Let
It's
them
like
fight
these
it out.
Onvong show up 1,000 years early.
Yeah, just freeze ourselves in carbonite, let this whole thing blow over.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like it seems like they took a lot of like Star Wars legend stuff and like incorporated it in here. Like the whole Hidden Empire is kind of like Happen Empire, and then that it's like this third thing, and that the Republic Empire have to like band together is kind of, Vong invasion. And even like the armor style that they use is kind of, especially like the Emperor, because I think the Emperor's armor is badass. He looks like a complete like old man, cool guy. It's very like reminiscent to like the Legend comics
You
Imperial
have a daddy
Knight
crush on
armor.
me.
He's the most interesting emperor in the galaxy.
That's what he looks like. He looks like the most interesting emperor in the galaxy.
Stay thirsty, man.
I don't always have sons, but when I do,
They kill each
other.
Yeah.
Can we call him Emperor Dos Aqueous, is it? What's the thing called?
His
Valkyrian Dos Equis.
Valkyrian, the Dos Equis Empire is what we'll call it.
Amazing.
He does, though. Do you have a picture of him? I have a picture right here, Minor. I can get it for you.
He was at the beginning of the stream. Let's go back and I'll start the video.
I have a screenshot.
again.
There we go.
Uh,
He does. He looks like the most interesting emperor in the world. Okay.
oh, that is playing sound. Hold on a sec.
I linked the picture in Twitch chat, so all right, and then so something else that happened kind of like right as we were about to record is this Polygon interview that got posted, and it is an interview with Bruce McLean, because Bruce McLean,
That was Jeff Hickman, wasn't it?
No, it was Bruce.
Oh.
I think it was Bruce.
No, yeah, in the it says, oh no, it's both of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
there
both.
were-
Okay.
So the big points from this article are that the
Story.
They're going to be streamlined to make them more fun. The one thing that they said that kind of pissed me off about this article is that Hickman says, I want to be really clear to our fans out there who are deep MMO fans. We are not forgetting about that part of the game either. We just have to focus right now on the story. We're doing lots of stuff around flashpoints and operations and raid bosses and PvP and that stuff, but it's all about story this year. So,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Yeah, massively single player online role playing game.
It is, though, isn't it? I mean, I don't necessarily have an
Yeah.
issue with it, so to speak. I do have an issue with it because it's not what I want, but as a game mode, it's perfectly acceptable. But the problem I've got is if I want to play a single-player game, then I'll play a single-player game. And it seems like every game that comes out now has some kind of multiplayer aspect to it. Like the new Fallout game has been announced to have some kind of multiplayer aspect in there as well. So, like, if you're going to play that, you're more inclined to go to something specifically like that, which makes me think they're going to kind of use the MMO aspect of this game as a framework for the multiplayer aspect, and then just focus heavily as if it was, like KOTOR 3 essentially. This should have been called Knights of the Old Republic 3 and just be done with it.
Well, I think they're trying to differentiate themselves, and really the only thing that they have left is they can't do PvP enough on a regular basis. They can't do operations on a regular enough basis. They can do story. They know how to do story, so they're going to leverage that, and everything else is just going to be the icing on the cake, as it were. They're trying to get the people that play Dragon Age Inquisition in here, the people that play those type of games in on a regular basis, and maybe hook them.
Well,
the issue I've got with this is I don't think that is going to work, though, because they already have those type of players. I mean, this game isn't known well for amazing end game content on a regular basis and amazing PvP content on a regular basis. The end game in this game is kind of known for being lacking, like big time. Look, over the last 3 years, there's been constant complaints about it, and I know people complain all the time. Yeah, I get that, but it's kind of justified in this game, So the way I see it is this will cement the hold they have over the existing players very, very nicely. But I do not see a large amount of new players being pulled into the game because of it. I may be completely wrong, but I just, if I was a person playing Dragon Age, I wouldn't think to myself, oh, do you know what? I'm going to stop playing this game now and subscribe to this other game because it has story. Because it always had story. That's not new. It's always had it. The level in this game has always been the main selling point, the class stories,
But if you subscribe, you get the free expansion, you get to make a 60. You can skip all of the potentially good story in the game, and you can get into their episodic story content without ever having to deal with any of the other part of the game. And I'm just wondering how it's going to work too, where if I'm 60 plus, does that mean I can no longer socialize with anybody in my guild who's sub 60?
Yeah, of course you can.
How is that going to work?
Yeah. That's what
You don't have to be 60, do you? You can just level up normally if you want to.
Yeah, but once you go 60 plus, you will not be able to help anybody in your guild who's in the older content.
Why?
Because you couldn't get to it. It would be in a different time period.
There'll be some kind of mechanism around that.
It's all on the same time period. They don't. That's too Star Trek Spock.
First of all, right, it would take a lot of effort to kind of phase them out of the zones so that you couldn't interact with them as a start, and they'd have to remove that content from the game for you to get to it, which they're not going to do. They're not going to make effort to remove content. Oh, 8-man rank. Sorry, I'm completely wrong. But they aren't going to do that. It'll just be a case you can go back and help them level. Look, it's like I said earlier.
Ziost was like that. They removed the first part of Ziost once you.
It's pronounced Zoist, but
Zoist. Sorry.
It's okay. So the whole thing with video games is there's always going to be some kind of logic break, immersion breaking thing. Like, for example, if someone hits me with a lightsaber, I should die, but I don't, because that would be hugely broken. So there's always going to be liberties where you can. Things will occur just because it's common sense from a game standpoint rather than a lore standpoint.
So
maybe I was looking
at since you brought up lore, and something that I was watching the IGN stream before anything started, and they brought up SWTOR. They were talking about Star Wars games. They're talking about all the visceral Star Wars game and Battlefront, obviously, and then they kind of talked about the Old Republic. And the one guy on there who said anything about it all, and I assumed had played it a little bit, said that the reason the Old Republic doesn't actually satisfy his Star Wars story kind of need because it's not actual lore, because it's not canon, and that he actually felt that the story wasn't engrossing enough, so that he wanted a Star Wars game that had better story than SWTOR. And so that's from someone outside of the game who's already left.
That guy is a douche.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The way he responded. Okay, it's okay to have your opinion that the game wasn't great or anything. The way that he said, just totally threw it aside and said, okay, it's not lore, doesn't affect me.
It's not lore, though.
He was a douche.
That's a whole argument. But for people that are oh yeah, Star Wars story, I want to be, Luke Skywalker. They want that this is my character. It's a part of Star Wars universe.
None of it is. Do you think Battlefield Front is going to be lore? Do you know why this isn't lore? Because it's not fucking real. It's a made-up game about space ninjas. Jesus Christ.
Space ninja wizards.
None of it. None of it
Yeah.
is
Just had
real.
Luke Skywalker attack Darth Vader on Hoth,
In
and
the
he
wrong
wasn't
outfit.
in the wrong outfit.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
so
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Wrong
There's always going to be
lightsaber, too.
people. There's always
yes,
going to be people who nitpick every tiny lore detail and stuff. And if they find that immersion
Yes.
breaking and they want to play it, then that's fine. That's their prerogative. They can not do it. That's absolutely fine. But none of this stuff is going to be none of it's lore because none of it's fucking real. If they want to rewrite it, they can rewrite it. It's their story.
yeah, they
Fuck.
could now, especially now that they don't have to snort crack off of George Lucas's.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
So the other story part of this expansion, like the big, their sort of this is what we're doing, is that every 2 to 3 weeks, is that what they said? There is
Yes.
new story content for subscribers.
and that will become 4 to 5 weeks, and then 6 to 8 weeks.
Stop
Yeah.
being such a cynic. But yeah, I think this is very clever because that means that people who want to commence the story will have to stay subbed. And if they aren't subbed, then if they do want to play it as free to play, then they'll probably just buy a big pack of cartel coins, and then they'll use that to unlock the story as they go along. So it's a good way to get people in and spend in currency, whether it's virtual or real.
Do you think it's going to bring people in, Zam, the whole story focus for this year, or do you think it's going to be negated by how many people they lose?
I don't really see that many people coming back because you've got to pay a monthly sub fee. Why would you do that when you can go play a game where you have you buy the game up front with a one-time fee and that's it. You don't have to pay a monthly thing. If I wanted to play a single player game, role play game, that's what I'd do. I wouldn't want to pay a monthly fee to access it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And one thing I really want to put across here, right, is please don't say it's a free expansion and don't say it's great that we get all this free content because you're paying a fucking subscription. And if you pay a subscription, there's a transaction taking place, so it's not free. Don't be a retard, right? Someone can tell you something is free and it's a bonus, but if you're paying for that service, you're paying for that service. And it's all incorporated in that one fee.
Is what they should be saying. No additional
No
cost.
additional. I understand why they're saying it because it sounds better from a marketing standpoint to say free expansion for subscribers. But you are paying for it. It is not free. Please don't fall into that mind trap that it's good because it's free. It is not free.
And can we talk about how it's the whole like Mass Effect 2 style reboot, where like they had this big overarching story and then something happens and now it's suddenly a much more focused story with your character that's been reset to a certain degree, and you're now on the outside and you have to. It's Mass Effect 2 is what it is. They're redoing that whole story.
It's easier just to do the recycles. It's easier to recycle things and to make original content.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of like Snape said, the story of the expansion is really played out. Brothers turning against each other. What? No one. I don't think anyone is really that surprised by what happened in the trailer.
Make one a boy and one a girl.
Just to put a preface on this, right? The story could be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The story that they put in the game could be brilliant, and it could be the greatest video game that I ever played in my life. I just saying, like, from an outsider looking in, if I say, for example, someone showed me a trailer for Elder Scrolls, right, which I have little to no interest in, and there was two brothers who were the same story but without lightsabers. I would give zero fucks about that. So I don't see why anyone on the other side would do the same. I just feel that it's not that attractive a story. That's all.
So other than the story, what are we getting? What are the things that are 65 is in the level cap? Confirmed that they are redoing all the old operations to 60 or 65?
Plus. They said 60 plus.
60 plus,
so it could be, we don't know. Could be various levels.
What ones? Maybe they'll do like the old ones to 60 and the newer ones to 65.
That was in the one page.
Don't know.
I've got the subscriber rewards up if you want to talk about them.
Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier. New abilities. Every class gets a new ability.
I'm just saying now, right? Give me fucking Shadow Step. Just put it in the game.
Better.
Put it in the game. Just push Shadow Step, operative Shadow Step, please.
Yeah, how do they not?
I will
It's
subscribe.
such like an iconic assassin, like operative assassin ability. They need it.
It's too much like Phase Walk. We can't do it. It's homogenizing classes.
All the classes are homogenized. As long as the animation looks different, I'm fine. Does anyone else feel that way? As long as it like looks different, I'm like, oh yeah, that's new. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was the annoying thing about WildStar, is both factions had the exact same abilities, the exact same animations. I was like, what?
Right. That's a good
That's-
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the new stuff. All right, so I feel like that's E3. That's what they announced for SWOTOR. Nothing really. Maybe I'm just like not excited because I already spoiled it for myself. But
Mm.
Had a few days to chew over the
there might
information.
be that. Is everybody gonna say stubbed? Like, is everybody just we've all resigned ourselves and we're just here, right?
Yeah.
I think 8 months of subscription still. So
I'm kind of in this now for the community more than the game.
Oh yeah.
So for me,
Hmm.
that's my sticking point at the moment. If that ever goes away, or if I ever stop doing that, then I would quite happily walk away from it.
Right.
But that's my main sticky point. But I think the issue they're going to have with this is the story content they put in is going to have to keep people entertained for a month. Just put that into perspective, right? So like look at Zoist, for example. That's what, like half an hours worth of content, really.
Yeah.
So do you think that's going to be the size of the 2-week update, or do you think it's going to be smaller than that?
Well, I think that would be optimistic, seeing as the amount of time it takes them to produce things like that.
I think you'll get a single quest chain.
Yeah, but the single question is going to be the same for all characters, isn't it? It's tweaked
Yes.
with little bits depending on what your class is, but it's going to be the same thing essentially for everyone, which will allow them to produce it a lot faster, I guess. And they can do quest chains across any planets, and they haven't got to necessarily write new assets for that. You know, you can go to Tatooine and you can follow a story there, and they just have you talk to NPCs and have that voiced, and then off you go. But my issue is, even if that story lasts for 7 hours, which I think is hugely optimistic on a month-to-month basis, the reason that people stick playing these games is the end game content and the stuff that you keep on kind of like churning yourself through over and over and over. So like the PvP, the PvE, the ops, you know, that's what you want to be doing. So ranked PvP and ops is what you're going to be trying to push through. And if that isn't in the game, and if that isn't supported, like if it carries on the way it is now, they're just going to keep on losing players. They're essentially topping up a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it every single time they do this thing. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who will keep on paying just for the story. And those people are in the game now. I just don't see new players coming back for it. I don't see new players sticking around for it either. That's the issue. If they upped their game and they did something which was a bit more traditional MMO-y, where you had the end game grind, so to speak, the progression grind at the end, then they would maintain those customers. So what they're doing now really is like a kind of pissing in the wind effect, where everything they gain, they're going to lose. Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of a wasted effort unless they put in these mechanics to stop them from losing customers.
So they're trying to attract the content locus, as it
They're
were.
not- the story locusts, I guess.
The story locus, like the people that come into a game, they consume all the content that's available, and then they just leave before ever engaging with the end game content.
I guess so, but again, the issue that I've got with this is when it falls apart is there's so many better games than this for that. Like take Wicked Tree, you know, that's like a perfect example where there's like hundreds of hours worth of content in that one game, and you can replay it and do it over and over and over again, and it's far more focused towards those types of players. And this seems to be heavily relying on an IP and not really kind of boxing smart, you know. I think if they use this money and this time and effort to fix the core mechanic of the game and fix the core issues that they have, then this type of effort would be fantastic because people would come into the game, they'd be attracted by these new things, and then they'd be able to hold them.
So do we think SWTOR 2 is still happening?
Yeah, I think this is the long content march towards a new game, and that's why they're doing the content like the way they are. So expect announcements of that probably 6 months out from now. The start of that.
That'll be very soon. Okay. Anything else, Sam? Anything else you need to say?
Oh, no, I think that's everything for now.
Snave.
Snave covered a lot of my thoughts about the lack of endgame and how that's going to
I'm
negatively
sorry.
affect things overall. No, it's alright. No, it's cool. I already bitched about this all on Twitter anyway, so
In there,
can
bitch
see
that.
I think I
I've
lost
got a-
some followers too, but oh well.
Oh, God, you'd be crying yourself to sleep tonight, wouldn't you?
Oh, I know, right?
Yes, minor.
I've got a
Yeah.
topic here for discussion. A lot of these
Okay.
games that are going free to play, or even WoW, implemented systems where you could buy game time for in-game currency that was bought with real money at some point, but was listed via an in-game thing. And so, do you think that SWOTOR could benefit from that? May.
No. I feel I don't know. Like you're saying, like how WoW does it is what you're saying.
It's
Or
like people do with the
Wildstar,
cartel market items, where they
Mhm.
buy them with real money and they sell them in game. Imagine if you could buy a subscription with cartel coins, and then sell it in game. And so you never have to spend real money on a subscription as long as you can make in-game money. Do you think that would benefit this game?
No, I don't think it matters. I think the people that are paying their $15 a month are still going to pay their $15 a month at this point.
See, I actually think
They're
it would
gonna
damage the game.
Yeah, they would make less money because all those people that have millions saved up because like economy is so overinflated
No.
in this
Somebody
game.
would still buy the subscription. Okay, it's not being bought with in-game currency directly.
What is being bought with?
It's being bought with real money and then sold for credits in game. And so they're still getting the $15 a month. Okay.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
like
WoW
Wildstar system. Yeah.
WildStar's doing it.
Yeah.
ESO, I believe it went buy to play, or they might be doing this as
Yeah.
well.
I don't
So
know.
But isn't that like influenced by the amount of credits available in the game?
a little bit, yes. The value of them floats around. Like in WoW, the value on the US servers varies versus the value on the EU servers, but like almost a 2-to-1 margin.
Do you think that they would keep free to play then? They would have to
Oh,
take
yeah.
out free to play. No, but
No,
why?
just-
So you're gonna have this like
No.
3 different ways
These are the
to do
benefits.
it.
This is the benefit of the system. It allows people to subscribe to your game, okay, without actually directly purchasing the game itself, but you still get the money for their subscription.
Yeah.
But don't you have okay?
Okay, so basically, May, say for example that you are. Okay, there's a few problems with this because the first one that comes to mind is
Escrow.
The escrow would be a big problem. They would have to allow you to buy the tokens with escrow. I think that would be a quick fix for it.
Yes.
If they did something like that, then I could see it being good because the people who aren't subbing, who may be playing the game a lot, would have a reason to kind of stick around and spend that currency on real currency. So I think that could be a decent idea for them. I think anytime you can cross over like fake currency to real currency, it wins like for the game itself, or for the people behind the game rather, because people have this association with money. Like for example, if you go to a restaurant and they list their prices without the currency symbol ahead of them, so they don't put a dollar sign, people actually pay more for their meals because they don't associate that number with currency. And it's the same thing with games. If you can associate a fake currency with real currency indirectly, then yeah, people will spend that money 100%. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
I
sense.
agree.
Okay.
So yeah,
And that's
that'd be a
the
good
thing.
way.
It's just decoupling the purchase from actual real world money for most people. And as mentioned in chat, EverQuest and Terra Online, I believe is what it's called, are also participating in these sort of schemes. It's the direction that the MMO market is moving.
So maybe we'll see it in SWTOR soon.
Maybe.
Another question before we move on, I guess, to other stuff is what do we think is going to happen with whatever happened to Vishit, whatever his name is.
Yes. This shit.
What do you think's gonna happen with that? Is we're just gonna like it didn't happen? We're gonna pretend.
No,
I
so-
just think it's really stupid how you had him. They did a fucking story scene and had him as the main role and getting all this power, and then it's like, are they going to toss that aside and bring in this new empire, or is Vishit somehow tied with this new empire? Like, there's people are saying that guy, the dad guy, is actually Vishit, but that some people think that's a possibility, but I don't know.
Potentially. I'm
I'm
getting.
gonna wrap this up, right? I'm gonna wrap this all up
Okay.
in a nice BioWare story style package. Yeah, Vishit turns out he's got a twin brother. Twin brother kills him.
Oh,
I like
it's a
your time.
flashback,
Ooh.
prequel, time
Interesting.
travel.
Yeah.
Oh god, don't bring time travel into Star Wars.
So
Please.
the new emperor guy, right? The new emperor guy is Vishit's twin brother who killed him and then had his own twins, and then when
In
they
an
killed each other,
alternate
thus the circle is
universe.
complete.
Yeah. Okay,
Confirmed.
God.
so we'll finish up the Swilter news before we talk about the real thing that we're here to talk about. San Diego Comic-Con Cantina got announced, and so that will be Saturday, July 11th at the Westin San Diego in the Gaslamp Quarter, which I love Gaslamp Quarter. It's really nice in San Diego, and it is their it's really long. It says schedule 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. story panel and more, and 7 to 10 is the Cantina meet and greet. So, will they have something at Comic Con, or they'll just be people there in that ballroom all day, and they'll just have like storyboards up?
They'll probably have Bruce McLean sitting at a table with a couple of drinks sitting on the side, and just let people queue up and ask him questions.
Right. If Bruce McLean is there, yeah, and you go there, please buy that man a drink for me, and then buy him another one, and then buy him another one, and then keep on buying him drinks. And when he starts to dribble a little bit, just ask him questions. Like, just ask him anything at all about
I don't think
PvP.
you need to get him drunk. Actually, I think the IGN stream just proved that you don't need to get
You just
him
have
drunk.
to
to get
ask him,
details.
and he'll tell
Just
you
ask him.
everything. Yeah. No,
He
really
has
though.
no filter.
Why is it an 11-hour Cantina event? Like, what are they doing between 11 and 4? It's this exact schedule.
Lying on the floor.
Okay. All right. We'll see, I guess, when they announce what they're going
But
to
they
do.
have quite a lot of stuff to discuss, though, don't they? This is one of the
Oh,
rare
yes.
things that, like,
Yeah.
from the devs'
Yeah.
point of view, they have a lot of topics that they can discuss because all this stuff has been announced. They can
Right.
like legally, talk about it. So I think that's probably why they're doing it, and they're probably doing it in two different sections to appeal to a wider range of players. Because one of the complaints, and I've made this complaint with the Cantina, is they're so small in the grand scale of things. You're talking more like 100, 200 people.
Mhm.
In very specific areas you can get it to take advantage of it. So the bigger they make it, the better it is for all the players. Because maybe you got kids, you can't go in the evening, or maybe you got a job, you can't go in the daytime, or whatever. It's kind of catering to everyone.
Right.
And then they can go and they can tell them that they want a HUD toggle and they want a Wookiee be a playable Wookiee, and then maybe they'll put that in the game at some point in time because they listen to all the feedback of these fucking morons.
It's all 3 years of player feedback has led them to doing.
I have not seen the Cantina event where they don't mention HUD toggles, so go fuck yourself because we still don't have. I don't even care about HUD toggles. I
Can
give
I mention?
zero
Right.
fuck.
I played Star Wars Galaxies, and they had playable Wookiees, and you would not believe the percentage of players that played Wookiees.
A lot, right?
It was almost everybody.
No,
That's
no, mine.
cool.
I'm terribly sorry. I watched the dev stream, and the guy said that you think you want to play a Wookiee, but you don't actually want to play a Wookiee. So
Because you
check
have
your privilege.
subtitles the whole time because you couldn't understand yourself.
Everybody
all-
Space Force through that anyways, okay, after their first character.
What are you talking about, Miner? This is a story game.
Okay, the
I
people
think
that
it's- I
want
think
to
it was a
play
legitimate-
Wookiees, there's two players here, okay?
It was a legitimate
players-
concern at launch. Yeah, it was, but not now. No, check it in. I think the idea of a Wookiee costume is really, really clever because it kind of bypasses the whole problem.
Do we
Mm,
think
Just
that?
like they brought in all those droid costumes so people could look like droids.
Yeah,
Okay.
they stuff
Oh.
like hairy arms.
But still,
Hairy
sex
legs.
change out of the science realm of Star Wars.
Has to
I-
do
I-
more with the conversation choices that you
Yeah,
make.
that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a stupid thing. Your conversation choices stay the same whether you have sex reassignment, like surgery or not. I don't think it matters.
Well, the problem is that the lines don't exist in the game client for certain combinations of things to happen properly. Like, say you start romancing Jaisa, Darkside Jaisa, as
maybe Jace is not
male.
into you because you're a tranny. Did you ever think about that? Why does it have to change? Can't it just be the same? Is that really offensive that I just said that?
Not really, but
Okay, good.
it's not that they don't want it in there. It's a technical issue preventing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a bad. Okay.
I don't think anyone can accuse BioWare of being a not a progressive thinking company.
That's not
They-
that's
they-
that's
they
not
really
my
are.
point. Like this social cultural progression is not. I'm saying like
I think if they could do it, they would.
stupid. Okay.
Because think about it. Anything, I think, really think about it. People would spend cartel coins to do stack exchanges, and they would make more money from it. They'd make a lot of money from it. They did it in WoW, and people spent loads of money on it. So it's just a technical constraint, unfortunately.
Okay.
Mm. Do you think they could bring it in with the whole 60 thing? Like you can, before you start this new story, you could change your character's sex or something like that? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. If they're only going to lock on to a few of the choices anyways that you made, it'd be much easier to do that.
It's a good suggestion. We should let them know that people would like.
When you get unfrozen from carbonite, a little piece breaks off.
Well, it could. Here's an easy way of doing it, guys. Right?
You had some
A
growth
very-
while you were frozen.
Here's an easy way of doing it. You get an instant level 60 now, so just make an instant level 60 of a different gender. Delete
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
character. Move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I'll do. Last piece of news is SWTOR was ranked as the number 5 healthiest MMO by Massively OP.
Okay, first of all, who Massively OP? What is that? That's some kind of pseudo-journalistic website. So amazing. How are they ranking them? Do they have sub numbers? Do they just pull them out their ass? How do they rank them?
Based
Opinion.
on popular health and activity. So like the number of people that are playing, how active the community
So
is.
how do they know how many people are playing? Because we don't have that number available.
I don't know.
Yeah,
basically
I'm
one
with
guy-
Staves here.
Like
one guy's
population, like
opinion.
how active. Okay, well, you guys.
Okay,
are
so here's Slave's top 5 healthiest MMOs.
Yeah, go.
So if I just listed off 5, I would have exactly the same level of credentials as the guy who did it. So
WoW,
Yeah.
WildStar, Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
Online, Star Trek Online,
Final Fantasy,
Sword Art.
Blade and Soul. There you
They
go.
have Guild
There.
Wars
EverQuest.
2 is second.
Yeah, cool.
Lineage, obviously because of the minions.
You have like
Oh, sorry,
named
Lineage
way
2.
more. RuneScape, EVE Online, Marvel Heroes, Arcade, Star Wars, Elder Scrolls, Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2.
It's just some guy's list that he made up.
All right, never mind. So
It's a lot like when they do these Raptor things, which are they're kind of misleading because not everyone uses them.
right.
Some games have incentives to use them. Other games just like don't get into that realm at all. So, it's a measurement, and I suppose a measurement is better than no measurement, but also inaccurate data will only ever lead you to inaccurate conclusions. So it's you can argue both ways.
Can I address Potato in chat? He's saying, no, Eve, you disgust me. Eve isn't an MMO so much as it's a graphical spreadsheet.
Eve is on this list, Potato. So screw Miner.
It
Yay,
is, actually,
massively OP.
It's a graphical spreadsheet.
Anyway, all right. So moving on to what we're actually here to talk about. If the E3 hype hadn't happened, this is what we'd be talking most about. Is the recent PvP on the PTS. And so all of us did that, right? Did we all play?
Mm-hmm.
I played, yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe not on my account.
I got my 10 games in. I gotta get my coins.
What do we actually think the reward is going to be for that?
Between
cartel
100 and
coins.
500 cartel coins.
You think it's going to be that high? 500?
No,
100
say
and
more.
500.
I think 100.
That's the
fine.
range.
100 would be, yeah.
Yeah. Not enough to buy anything, really.
Well, I'm
I
thinking enough to
really-
buy a pack.
That's 250, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
320?
When
for
they're on
something
sale, they're 250.
Okay, there you go. So it'll be 250. That's exactly what you'll get.
I mean, that would be a good amount, I guess. Lots of people played. It was actually I got
It was
queued
super
faster
good.
on PTS faster than on like my
Yeah.
live server, to be honest.
It was such a nice event, and I genuinely applaud
Yes.
Musco and the CM team for like spreading the word and doing it.
Okay, but let's give Zam credit because she's the one who was like, "Oi, mates," for the PvP
Yeah.
event.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you like posted on the forums, right?
Yes, I did. I posted on the PTS forum saying, yeah, you guys do this. Organize this, get the community doing this. And then Musco, I linked it to Musco and he actually replied to my tweet saying that they were thinking about it. And then on Monday, bam, they did it. So I was like, well, damn.
I mean, it's no like skin off their dick
Yeah.
to do it. Like it literally all they have to
Yeah.
do is make a post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but at the same time, there's
Mm.
a lot of things you could use that reasoning for, So
Mm.
it's good that they did it, and I think it was hugely successful.
thumbs
Maybe
up.
not in terms of how the games went, but certainly in the numbers and bodies there.
Yes.
Why?
Definitely, there's a new healer meta game going on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is-
yeah.
Which is what? What do you mean?
Well, basically, it was like
Stack
80%
as many
healers.
Well, but that's
Yes.
because the healing changes are the only
Yeah.
class changes that were there. So everybody was like testing those class changes.
But
Nerf
it
sorts.
works. It works so well. Once you got a node in any place, you just healed on top of it, and you just couldn't lose it because somebody was gonna stop the other people from capping.
Well, okay, so like a part
Not
of this though is like the
necessarily, you know.
AoE thing. Like that was another one of the big change they wanted people to test. They wanted to see if their idea with changing how capping works and how AoEs work in regards to capping. Did it make a difference? Was it a big change, Snave? Is like should they keep it how they changed it?
They should 100% keep the change. 100% keep the change. The people I'm still waiting for one single decent argument as to why they should keep AoE as an interrupt. I still haven't heard a single decent argument for it, other than my DPS. That's like literally the only one that people have got. If they're being completely honest, it doesn't affect that many maps. Yeah, first of all, it doesn't affect any arenas. Doesn't affect either hut ball. Doesn't really affect Civil War that much. Doesn't really. Hypergate, it does make quite a big difference depending on how many numbers you've got versus other people. But like when I play on regs, I mean, I will hold a node against multiple people for prolonged periods of time, and I shouldn't really be able to do that. I mean, it isn't really fair. This
Novair would
makes it a
probably be the
lot
exception.
harder. Novare is the best one for this because the one thing I've never really liked about these games is, and Void Star as well, every single map is based around certain choke points on the map. So no matter how big the map is, it's quite difficult to spread out and objectively play the game. Like in Navari Coast, you're generally fine for mid. Yeah, you can't be the side. You're generally fine for mid. I know there's going to be differences on that, and you can change the meta if you want to, but that's pretty much how it works. Just because of the distance you have to run from the spawn. So once a person capped that, it was very hard to get it back because they would literally just spam Lightning Storm or I can't think of the other ones. Merca's got one as well. You got Smash that does it. You know, there's a lot of very short cooldown moves that will just permanently stop you from recapping that. And at the same time, you're eating tremendous amounts of damage because you're getting hit by all this AoE. So it's kind of like the perfect defense mechanism. You can stop all caps and you can do a huge amount of damage, which makes it harder for the other team to win. You know, and you then got to try and attack offloads and split defense, which is a more, I'll say a more advanced tactic. It's not like brain surgery, you know what I mean? But it still is more advanced than trying to cap mid. And this way, it's going to be a lot harder to interrupt people who are generally focused on getting it. And if you can get a team of like 4 players who are all able to read CC and click at the same time, it's very difficult to defend the way that you used to defend. So I like the changes. I think that it'll certainly make nodes transfer more, but not on that many maps. Like that's the thing. It's not a huge change by any stretch of the imagination.
There's like a moth in your room and it's terrifying me.
Yeah.
I hate them. They're like, I hate moths. So every time I see a flutterby, I'm like, Zam, did you?
I'm pretty cool with Mothra. They're okay.
I don't like flying things in general, so I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, so I feel about it.
You live in Australia, Zam. Flying things are probably trying to kill you somehow. They probably got like
Yes,
flying eggs.
yes, they are. They do that. They try to.
Now-
Zam, did you see many spam cap strat, or did you try the spam cap strat?
I had a match where we tried it and it didn't work. I only saw it work a couple of times. The majority of the time, I found people were on the ball and were able to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I found the quality of the players on the PTS was much better than on live. So for the most part, so people were more situationally aware and able and more objective focused for the most part. You did get those dumb matches where you had the DPS heroes going for numbers, but I thought the gameplay overall was better. Well,
you need 4 players
again-
that have the same name, that are body type 4 males, that are wearing the same outfit to cap a node because you'll never be able to tell them apart.
Oh man, some of the things that people were saying on my stream on Saturday was so funny. Like they were coming up with these reasons as to why spam cap is like unbeatable.
It's
And
like the
towards the
strat,
end,
right?
it was just, oh my god! There was like if you get one body type 4 character and one body type 1 character,
And like stack them?
This is for Void Star. This was a strategy that someone mentioned in my stream, and they said they were joking, but I don't think they were joking based on the things they said previously. You wait until I'll tell you the full story. You wait until they're both white barred and they both have the Bastion debuff from grenades. Then one of them runs in and starts capping the body type 1. Then the body type 4 runs onto them several seconds later and starts capping, meaning that they can't interrupt the body type 1 person without targeting him correctly, which will confuse things and allow him to get the cap due to the difference in time and tab targeting and GCDs. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, you mental bastard? Like, if you can arrange for all of those things to happen, you could probably just kill you have that much focus, just fucking kill them. If your cousin's dog is just what the fuck? Like, if all of those things work, then yeah, maybe it'll be a legit tactic. But I mean, we tried it when we had people. We were on TeamSpeak and we tried to get people to CC, and we had 4 spam capping in Void Star. Didn't work. Didn't work with the defuse either. Because the thing that people seem to be forgetting a lot of the time with these things is there are still plenty of ways to AoE interrupt. Every class has at least one AoE interrupt, whether that's like carbonized type stun or flashbang, the pulse from snipers, knockbacks.
Knockback. Yeah.
Everyone's got one. So, and all the time you were sitting there spam capping, you're getting fucked up. So, good luck.
That's where the healer strategy comes in.
Yeah, so you want 8 healers, yeah, 2 of them body type 4, 2 of them body type 1.
Right, but doesn't it all not matter because there is no ranked 8s? So like, it's not gonna. You're still gonna have idiots. Like even on PTS with the comms change, how many people in full PVE gear did you see? I saw at least 3 people in full PVE gear.
Only a couple of people.
I
Majority of people were expertise.
It's just like,
thank God.
But when it goes live, like, is it going to be the same stuff?
It's gonna be worse.
Why is it going to be worse?
Because you're going to have all the casuals that didn't want to install the PTS are now going to be playing PvP, and they're not going to realize that the gear is so much cheaper. So they're just going to do it because I've encountered players that have no idea how to play DPS on their character. They like heal their companion through the whole class story and have 1 DPS ability on their bar and know nothing about anything else. So
there's always going to be terribles. That's just how it is in any game. I think that people can generally work out how to buy gear. You know, that they want to have shiny gear. They want to have the nice shiny toys, and the fact that it's cheap, I think, will actually encourage more new high levels into PvP rather than PvE. You can get a full set of PvP gear and be competitive within a couple of days. Do you know what I mean? So I think that will actually push more people into PvP than anything else. And if they're terrible and they get killed, maybe they won't stick around. Maybe they will, you know. But you have to have the bodies in there in the first place to even expect the numbers to go up. So I think the changes are all good.
Do we think that with the whole like 3rd faction, there's kind of been some whispers about whether flashpoints and operations will be able to be cross-faction? If that's the case, do you think we'll see it in PvP also?
I assume that all level 60 plus content is going to be cross-faction.
So PvP
that is
as
my
well.
assumption.
Yeah,
yes.
So do I.
So PvP as well then.
Yeah,
yes.
That's my assumption, and that is also my assumption that is better than crossover.
That's good, but isn't that something? Is it so? Are we seeing this because I myself have said this to Musco on 2 separate occasions that they're stupid with not just making, especially with arenas. There's no reason for them not to make it cross faction because it's a Hut cartel thing. It's not like it's part of Empire v Pub lore, like it's sponsored by like an outside group, so it always should have been cross faction.
A few things with that, May. Right, first of all, if you think of all of the Star Wars nerds that we know, right, where they kick off that things don't tie into the lore and they come up with the ridiculous things, yeah, I imagine there's lots of those that work at BioWare.
Right, but how? It's not Empire v Pub. Like,
I understand that, but then also you got a technical limitation first of all, and then on top of that you got people saying, "Well, that's not Star Wars," and they are correct. Like, and from my point of view, I want an enemy faction. I want to have people I'm fighting against. I want to like talk shit to them and not to be their friend. Like, I want them to not like me. I want them to focus me in PvP. That's what I want as a PvPer. I want the conflict. Whereas if all in the same faction, you don't necessarily have that because everyone's essentially the same side. But from a mechanical standpoint, it does fix a lot of the problems that they have. So I'm for the change, like mechanically. I'm against it from a person. If I was given the decision whether to do it or not, I would do it. I would 100% do it because it's better for the game.
I just had an interesting idea. Now they were working on a unique 1v4 game at BioWare Austin called Shadow Realms. You guys remember this?
Yeah.
Yes.
What if they, with this cross-faction change, they put in asymmetric war zones? Where it would say like 4v1, where one player was controlling like a more PvE style objective versus 4 other players that were trying to get through the objective's course, as it were. Because they look to have been working on such content for their other game. Maybe they would apply some of that expertise in game systems to this game. That's my off-the-wall idea I just thought of.
I think that, because I thought something similar myself, that with the integration of the Shadowlands people, would they try and like merge the game mechanics somewhat to get an extra game for free, so to speak. But it would be so much work to put that into this game. I just don't think that it's applicable. I just don't think they would do it. And also, then you got
what if
like a
it
brand
was
new game mode? No.
What if it was 4 versus Kefis?
That's PvE. Then like
what if one of the players got to play as
PvE.
Kefis? What if he got turned into a Kefis clone?
Okay, this is the wall.
That'd be
crazy
cool.
now.
It's Wall of Crazy, yeah.
But
All right, that was my tangent.
Something that Snave said quite a few times when we were on the PTS is that he doesn't even think that the devs were there.
I was kind of tongue-in-cheek when I said that, but yeah, I mean, here's the thing from my point of view, right? I'm a fairly cynical guy, and I like to look into the the pluses and minuses of things. So like your input to output. Now they know that by saying the devs will be on the PTS, people will turn up because they want to play against the devs. I was frothing at the mouth. I did a Taken-style speech at the start of my stream, but I was going to hunt them down and kill them. Yeah,
that was the best part.
Yeah, thanks, man. But it was. I wanted to play against them, but they didn't materialize at any point in time, and there was no real way of knowing who was who. When I messaged Musco as to whether he would be available on Saturday, he said he wasn't there for the event on Saturday. He might have been there before that. I don't know, but it just crossed my mind that they could just say that they're going to be there to get the motivation to get people going across there. I would have liked to have seen them just like on the last day, maybe just say, all right, these are our characters, let's go.
Right.
Just like post something like we're queuing up right now for team ranked, get your teams together. Or whatever it was going to be, just to kind of get that bit in there, just to get that kind of like, just fuck them so hard, like just something to get people going, because that's
even after
100%.
If you would have known after who they were, so you could have been like, oh man, I killed that person. Oh yeah, I knew it was them, or whatever.
They could have like changed how the characters look. They could have species changed. They could have done whatever they want. So there's no kind of parallels to life.
They should have just had a guild, like in WoW when you played on the test server versus developers, they were in the Nerf Herders Guild. Like all you had to do was create a guild for it. There was a Bruce McLean standing on the Republic fleet. What are the odds that he was actually Bruce McLean?
No, the guys.
There was 15 Muscos. There was like
There was only one Bruce McLean.
There is only one Bruce.
Bruce McLean's a sniper, isn't he? I played against him on
Shadowlands.
Gunslinger, yeah. So that's his normal character.
Yeah.
But I think they could have done something good. Can you imagine if they like released a little PvP highlight video of them killing people and stuff, saying, "Look, we're not shit." Trust me, as a person who's made highlight videos, you can make yourself look really fucking good, even if you're not. So something there could have been things they could have done to make it more interesting, I guess. But it's a start. You know what I mean? It's a start. Yeah, Duxton is saying they wanted the content to be tested and not people just to kill a few people, and I get that. I understand their motivations for doing it, but they're only going to be in one game, and there was loads of games going on. And if they're good players, then they can win the games and they can, show the tests work and they can do it themselves. I don't think it would have been that breaking at all. Right. And if they announced it at the last day for the last hour, it really wouldn't have made any difference.
That would have been, that would have been the best.
So I accept your point, but I also reject it.
Or negate it with my own. All right. Last thing, so they are changing comms, and there's kind of been some rumors as far as more comm changes that are going to be happening. And kind of what should you do with 3.3 coming? Should you can't like comm stack timer thing anymore.
Timers
So
are going to run out over the patch. If you're looking to store commendations in item form, when they do the transition, the timers will run out.
so don't do that. You'll lose all your
Yes.
comms.
Mm-hmm.
Snave, you said something that they said they were going to possibly increase the
Yeah,
cap on comms.
I can't remember when I read this. I'm sure I read this somewhere that there was a post where they said that they could possibly increase the cap before the end of before they bring in the cap, if you know what I mean. They could increase it to 200,000 before they lock everything down. So if you do have these things, you won't actually lose them, which I think would be a good way to do it. If they can patch that in quickly with like minimal fuss, I think increasing it to 200,000 prior, so people don't lose their comms, would be a good thing. Because please bear in mind, the idea of these comm changes is to get people in gear quickly, as fast as possible, get them geared. So anything they can do to facilitate that, they should be doing. And people who've been juggling things around, they should be doing. Or if they put like the legacy. Sorry.
I was going to say, store up, if you're at the cap, store your weekly and daily quests. You could turn them in, just don't accept them.
And how many times can you do that?
It's 3.
You can maintain
Only
3 of them at the
3.
time. Yeah,
Okay.
So you could have the weekly and 2 dailies.
But the thing is, and again, but if you're the kind of person who stores up 3 weeklies, the odds are you've got gear anyway, because the amount of gear taken,
Right.
that time taken to do that would get you gear. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
But with
just for new players, it would be a good benefit.
Okay. Anything else SWTOR wise you guys can think of? PvP? No.
Oh, I got messaged earlier after we had that discussion on the subs for credits discussion, and the main benefit of providing a subscription for that you could sell for credits is it cuts out the gold farmers completely, because if you want to buy in-game currency, you just buy a subscription and sell it in-game, and you've converted, because it's always something that somebody wants. It's not like you're buying an account unlock that's going to sit on the GTN for weeks, or a hyper crate. This is something that's going to have value at all times.
Okay, but if you want to buy a hyper crate, it's cheaper to buy the gold and then buy the hyper crate off the GTN.
Yes.
By like
okay.
$20.
But with this system, if you buy the subscription with gold, if they do such a system, you're essentially cutting out the gold sellers completely, unless they sell ridiculously cheap. And people might not want to go through that.
Okay.
So.
We will close out the show with TORCom news. So the big thing with TORCommunity this week is that they moved the server, and so it's faster and shinier and newer. And I have no idea what that means, but it's apparently a big deal for everybody.
Yeah, I don't know
Yes.
either.
It now supports Speedy and SSL, and the time to first byte is much faster than the old server. Are you making friends there, Snave?
Yeah, man, that guy loves me.
He almost gave you a kiss.
So yeah, and that was the big thing with the Kickstarter that they wanted to do, was kind of get that server set up and all that.
Yes.
So it's like the big thing, the first big step.
Oh, that's happened now.
Yeah. Hooray! So on schedule.
Currently testing localized tooltips of items. If you're hosting them on your site, the French and the German ones, the tooltips are available if you set your settings properly.
Oh.
And you could find that on the tooltips explanation page.
All right. So thanks everybody for tuning into the first episode of Better Than Cross Server. We will be back in 2 weeks for another episode. Zam, where can everybody get a hold of you in the meantime?
You can find me on Twitter at rach_games, and I have my blog at zamzamsays.com.
And Minor, when you're not hiding and doing illegal activities, where can people get a hold of you?
I never do anything that's illegal. Okay.
Just
now
against
they're high.
TOS.
They're prohibited activities necessarily, but they're not necessarily illegal.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not running my own, Silk Road here, or anything crazy like that. So you can find me on Twitter. Yeah, you can find me on Reddit and Twitter. I'm Swotar_minor in both places. So yeah. That's me.
And Snaveopotamus.
Oh, that's so insulting.
Sorry. Where can everybody find you and watch you?
I'm on Twitter. It's at Snave1208, and I stream on Hitbox pretty much every day, but mainly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And that is hitbox.tv/Snave. Come and subscribe to me because it's amazing. And you get a GIF.
You do get a gift. Yeah. Mine involves hot dogs.
And rainbow Twizzlers.
No, just hot dogs. I don't have a Rainbow Twisted one. You can find me on Twitter at maybebuzz or on my blog, maybebuzzes.weebly.com. You can find all of us over at TORCommunity, TORCommunity.com, at TORCommunity, and the Old Republic community on Facebook. So thanks everybody again so much for watching, and toodles.
We do Toodles now. What about that? Do we not do That's It anymore?
Well, That's It is that's a Torocast thing, and Hayward said Toodles last week, so I just picked it up this week.
I need to get something
the
better than
way
that.
the cookie crumbles.
May the force
That's
be
the way
with
the
you.
Wookiee stumbles.
Mumbles? Stumbles. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And that's the way the Wookiee stumbles.
So if you guys have got a good idea on how we can end the shows, and please don't say something snarky like an hour earlier. That would be cool. Just let us know. Gibbsocast. I'd love Gibbsocast. That would just be like 3 hours of Gibbs dribbling on Nans. Gibbsocast, yeah.
And pies.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. We'll stop